when I look at least these three projects, they kind of speak to kind of elevating the awareness of of human potential, I guess maybe, and kind of encouraging people to not feel kind of overwhelmed by what's around them, but to dig, deeper into themselves. So is this moving in a direction for you, maybe not immediately or as a kind of definitive plan for next year or what have you, but is that, and I guess that's why I was kind of probing around that aspect. Is there an ideal for you, maybe, if it's not a plan yet, where you'd like to see that go?
In terms of themes or
Yeah.
the yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. The themes, I always have ideas on the go, whether I develop them or not is another thing. Like I have a few feature scripts that I've been writing, and it's um yeah, I'm interested always on just the experience of being human within this material plane. Like, like I've said, having spiritual experience and coming in and out of sleep, this,
Mhm.
the sleep of being a human and being beyond a human, and how that manifests in different places, whether it's in a fantastical realm, a historical period piece, or a dystopian, transhuman slash technocratic skin that it's enveloped in. So one thing that I've been tracking is AI.
Mhm.
And even before the COVID moment that we were all in, I was exploring a lot of the just sort of intuiting and seeing where AI went, and it's exploded much faster than I thought it would. But the implications of artificial intelligence and organic divine consciousness, and the interplay between these two, I find that interplay very fascinating, and I may be exploring it in my next works more. I started just scratching the surface with the Forest King in it, but a lot of it has to do with basically, there's a great danger of augmented reality with virtual reality, etc., and with these smart city systems of really enclosing human potential and human consciousness into small systems of incentivized behavior based on prompts and rewards,
Mhm.
and a fascination of just being within this electromagnetic limited realm of closed loops
Mhm.
and programmable realities. And of course, that's kind of a cul-de-sac for those of us who care about reality with a capital R, and the real nature of this existence. So there's I'd like to craft more stories that perhaps portray the nobility of that quest, instead of the degraded, like, again, us being captured in something that has no dignity, that is not of our own choosing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting because I heard in an interview the other day, I'm trying to remember who was being interviewed, probably just a brief TikTok clip or something, but one of the things that they were suggesting, and I guess if someone's a strict materialist, they probably wouldn't agree with this, but if they're not, the idea that they were proposing was that what they don't know yet is whether or not the consciousness that could potentially come out of AI is a creation in and of itself, or is consciousness something that AI simply is just another element that has access to, kind of like the body is a vehicle. And if you believe that the consciousness itself exists outside of us and within us, and we're kind of a conduit for that, is AI a system that just accesses consciousness as you get the machinery and the mechanics more and more complex and more refined? Does it just have a more acute ability to kind of draw on that, or is it just cold hard steel that it forms a kind of consciousness within a consciousness, if you will, that could go rogue entirely, or, and which way does that get pulled? Because of course there's the dark side of things and the light side of things even outside of that. So there's a lot of ways you could take that, I guess. I mean, I don't know if you have a particular angle on that, but that's
No,
interesting.
that's such a yeah, it's such a beautiful insight and a topic, and it's one of those living questions that we'll have to be tracking as more of the complexity of AI emerges and our interaction with it. We don't know yet, but I think consciousness is moving through everything. I would agree with that. It's just that we have different qualities of bandwidth and not bandwidth, but bands of frequencies, right? And I think with AI, there's more of a ability to throttle and control different tabs and um, different ways that that manifests itself, right? So it's very interesting. I think it's also AI's development is dependent on our collective consciousness as well, I believe.
Mhm.
I've already started tracking that with my own just strange synchronicities and feedbacks that I'm getting, and some of my more aware friends who are tracking this as well, how AI seems to be interacting with our own consciousness as well, that it's not purely mechanical. It's not. But it's also, this is where we can get into some of the more juicy and strange topics, and of more like discarnate intelligences that are foreign intelligences, meaning foreign to the material plane. And it's a whole other beautiful topic to explore, and it's not as easy to substantiate, but I have some experiences that would lead me to give it credence, that there's perhaps different intelligences that are tapping into this AI, greater intelligence that's emerging. And so I think we're opening up the portal to a lot, like a much bigger game.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah,
it's an interesting time.
it is. It is. I know we don't have much time left, but I thought I'd try and squeeze this in because something else that struck me, and I think it was in light of how maybe even The Kingdom, your film, was defining this to some extent in my brain, which was, because I'm not one of these people who's an advocate for uh, trying to get in front of courtrooms and advocating for free man on the land or common law necessarily, but I think there's something to it. I just think you have to be very careful if you're going to kind of delve into that area, that you're not kind of caught up in whimsical ideas of going on little crusades in that area when it's law is complex. But one of the things I thought was interesting is that it was described as, we have a way of thinking that the law that we're told to follow is the law that is, and when in reality everything is comes under kind of a supreme law, or the common law, or natural law, or the law of God, if you want to look at it that way. And even empires kind of make deals, if you will, with that, saying, well, we'll follow this, but if we can get a contract that fits in a national law, or a contract that fits in the town law, or a company that we can get you to agree to, then we can start to take away the freedoms and the rights that are part of this sort of natural or divine law. If you would agree to give up some of your space, or agree to give up a form of tax that maybe is unjust, but you've signed, I'll do that, unknowingly even, you feel like that's the law. And until you really know the truth, the law that you're under that's supreme, if you do know it, you can become free of these things. There are ways to kind of work that out, so that, if you put in the time to understand the truth. And that to me was kind of another revelation of kingdom, in that kingdom is what clears away all of the trespasses or contracts that have been kind of encumbered on us, in various ways, whether they're through institutions or what have you. Um, and then that's the difference between people who do that, or people who just accept that the encumbrances, the contracts, the trespasses are all justified. And they may not be, but you don't know that until you start digging through the layers of authority, as you mentioned earlier, and try and get to the divine understanding of truth, beyond the traditions, beyond the bylaws, or beyond the contractual laws that are conditional upon your acceptance and things like that. So, yeah, your stuff speaks to that. I don't know if you were aware of it, but that's the way it struck me. So,
Oh, that's such a beautiful topic. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, it absolutely has to do with that, and it's that path of maturing, right? It's kind of like an analogy to that is with the law is being at your parents' home, being a child, being under their laws, and being rightfully so under their jurisdiction, because you don't have the capabilities yet to know how to navigate the world, how to feed yourself. And the more that you mature, the less scaffolding, parental scaffolding around you is necessary. And then as you become an adult, though, you take on more responsibility, and now you have the ability to really fail, and you don't have a safety net around you necessarily. So there's that risk, but you have more power, more agency, more choice. And so it's the same thing, right? As the more laws that we identify as not having agreed to, but they may have served in some good or bad way for us, then we can let go of those laws, but now we have to take more responsibility. So our awareness actually grows in direct relationship to our empowerment and our ability and capacity to be mature humans on this plane of existence. So yeah, there's a big give and take here. um yeah, absolutely beautiful. You said that so well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Lubomir, I hope we can continue more conversations in the future because this has been really fascinating. Is there anything else you'd like to convey to the audience before we check out though for this one?
Nothing immediately is inspiring me other than to thank everyone for listening thus far to us. Thank you very much, Sebastian, for having me on. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Likewise.
And yeah, just saying, yeah, maybe sending out really good intentions for storytelling and for all of us storytellers to keep going and to be expressing our heart's truth. And may we all have the resources and the help necessary to do so.
Great, wonderful. Well, make sure that you check out Ludomir's Film Kingdom on YouTube. I did that under Kingdom Animated Short. It should come up fairly quickly. There's also In Shadow there as well. And The Forest King, you'll find that on some of the networks that were mentioned earlier. I'll put those on the screen. It was Tubi for me, but there's a few others there as well. And thank you for joining us. Remember to fight the darkness, keep truth in story. We will see you all next time.